Sorry, guys, no sound. All right. Thanks for mentioning that to me. It's something I got to leave the mic off while that countdown thing's on, or else the music just vibrates back and forth. So, anyways, you know, Platinum had moved up all the way to the top of the zone, and then it pulled down. So I'd marked this level, basically the middle of the zone. Okay, that midline of the zone. So I just marked it support and resistance so you guys can see what I was thinking there was like, okay, it had pulled up past that mid zone, pulled down, candle stopped right around the mid zone. This one started. So it pulled back down toward that mid zone, didn't quite get there. Another test of the mid zone, red candle, you know, pulled past but closed above the mid zone. So at that point in time, I'm thinking mid zone line. Okay, that is probably going to act as a support and resistance level on Platinum. So I marked my line. Well, then the next candle it pulled and closed below the line. That's when I got in because it basically broke this support and resistance level that I had drawn. Now, a little bit riskier because it's not through the 4-hour zone yet. Okay, and with Platinum, unfortunately, there's no micro. So I couldn't like go in light. I couldn't put in, say, 6 micros and then add to it as it dropped. Okay. And that's something, if you guys want to scale in and start scaling in, that helps with your trade management. That's all that is trade management. Which it helps again with your risk reward, your risk management, your account management. All that plays into your survival in trading. So I would rather, you know, go in with say 6 micros, and as it starts dropping, tack on 2 more. Let the market move pay for the additional contracts you throw in, and they also pay for the fees. Okay, versus going in with the full say 10 micros and it coming back and stopping you out. You're putting your whole stop out there on 10 micros at that point. And that happens. You guys, I'm sure, have experienced that where you put on a full 10 and then it comes stops you out. Well, you're out on 10 versus going in with say 6 and then stacking on to your position. So it is a valid strategy as far as trade management. Okay. So basically I sat in it for a while. Again, 3-minute candles. It kind of pulled back. And then at that point, I was able to draw, once it pulled back and dropped back to the bottom of the zone, I was able to draw a trade line from that top to that one. And then, of course, then it just dropped. So it dropped. I thought, oh, great. It's just going to keep running today. We'll get a little bit of what we had the other night. And it turned right here. Okay. So it did not drop far. And if I pull in the charting, basically, it just, where it turned, was this high here, you know, so you can see kind of consolidation area over here, whips back and forth across that level. So I didn't think it was going to be that strong of a level because of that. Yes, this pull up turn there, but look at here where it went back and forth in there and even over here. So I didn't think it was going to be all that strong, but it ended up being stronger than what I thought. Can't judge a book by its cover, can you? So I had one contract on and it turned there. Well, when it pulled back, I'm always looking to see if I can add to my position. I would rather it have dropped, and I think I mentioned that earlier. I'd rather it have dropped and then added to my position. So what I like to do is, as it drops, you know, so like it dropped here. It started pulling back. I would have loved to have seen it dropped again. If it dropped again a second time to where I can pull my stop to break even, which would have been pulling it from here to here. Okay, so that would only been if it dropped down here. If it dropped down there, I could have moved my stop to break even. And then I look to see if I add another contract, how far will my order go down? Because your order is going to move. So if I add another contract on, how far will that order slide down? Will I be able to pull my stop down and protect both those contracts? And be in it risk-free with an extra subtract in case it goes. Now, some days this doesn't pan out at all because they don't trend. And so what happens then is I'm still in a safe trade. And if it were to turn, say, down here and pull back, so let's say I did that. I added a contract, my order slipped clear down here to that line. But I was able to move my stop down here because it's way down here. Well, then if it pulls back to stop me out, I don't lose anything. Now, I don't gain anything either, okay? It's just a risk you always take in any trade. But if you can pull to break even, and then if you can move to break even every time you stack on some contracts, to me, you're trading safe. That's a safer way of trading, okay? And that's just because your order will slide. So, and you're going to see here in a minute. So basically it went back and forth in this 4-hour zone. You know, that yellow zone's a 4-hour zone. So I don't know, MC was in there. I don't think I got a response from him yet. So I don't know if he actually traded it back and forth in here. Personally, I wouldn't trade it back and forth. Our 4-hour zone is here. And when it got up to the 4-hour zone, because it's been under it, so when it moved up to the 4-hour zone, we look for it to bounce off of it. If it breaks through and runs, then we hold runners, okay? Well, this thing got under that. I stacked on a contract here, so it didn't really move very far when I got in. Well, you see where the order is right now. It's right here. Actually, I think I stacked on a little later. It was this candle, guys. It wasn't that other. It wasn't that one. It was this one that I stacked on. So it was that red one right there. And so my order slipped from here down to here, where it is now. And then, but I was able to, my stop was where it was originally. When I stacked on the other contract, I did slide my stop right here. Okay, so I slid my stop about halfway between the midline of the zone and the upper level of the zone. That's where my stop was. Because I didn't want my stop hanging out here on 2 contracts. I wasn't willing to do it. So, and that's something I looked at before I stacked on. I didn't just see it pull back, red candle, boom, I need to stack on. We are watching the 3-minute time frame. It does give us enough time to think between candles. So when you see that candle and you go, okay, it had pulled back, it had turned, we see a good push down, we can draw another trade line. It basically broke back through the zone again. I'm going to stack on a contract. Can I move my stop? Well, I could off this level here. And then, of course, it had turned right here briefly, and that's where I added on. Now I moved my stop between the 2, and then it did pull back. So it did pull back. I was in negative on 2 contracts. And I would have been fine if it went all the way back up here and stopped both out. I would have been fine with that. But I lowered my potential loss risk by moving that stop down. And that wasn't too aggressive. I had validation as to why I moved it there. So my confirmation, my validation was, we have a high here. That high was respected here on this turn. Okay, so the high back here, after it dropped, it pulled back, made a high here, lower high, pulled down. So it just pulled back and made a good size retracement, turned, red candle. That's validation that that level right there, back to the midline, should be a safe level for me to move my stop and limit risk. So I added to contract, moved my stop down here in the middle, and pretty much rode out the rest of the day. Okay? Only this last push here did I move my stop to break even. So I've been sitting in that back and forth, and even negative in here a little bit. Negative a little here, negative a little here, negative a little here, and a little here. I finally got a push. I did not move my stop till this push. So I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't, because you can see this pullback here. Well, my stop was still up here. If I would have pulled it tight over to this area, well, guess what? I'd have been stopped out here, and I just sat in that whole thing for nothing, for one, and I would have lost a little bit, not much. So right now, it's pushed down. Now, again, I didn't trade it short every time, but you want to, if you were going to trade this back and forth movement in here, this range consolidated movement, you would want to trade short every time. And the reason why is because we're under a 4-hour zone. Now, that doesn't mean the 4-hour zone's always going to hold. You guys have seen these before where, in my charts, where, and you know that sometimes these zones are broken. They're respected quite a bit. However, at some point, yeah, they're going to be tested or even broken. So, trade with the odds in your favor. You would short every time, okay? And then I would have loved it if we had micros on this. I would have done this with it, but no micros, I didn't. But what I would do is you short with 10. Let's say you still have 2 runners on. Let's say I got in over here with 10. It dropped. I closed out 8, left 2 on. It pulls back. I get in with another 10. I already have 2 on. I get in with another 10, okay, on this candle. So I have 12 on now. And then it pulls back and goes down. I can close partial. I don't close the whole 10. I would close 8 of the new 10 and have 4 runners on. And then it pulls back and you short again with 10. Okay, so you short with 10, close 8. Now you got 6 on. Pulls back, short with 10, close 8. Now you got 8 on. By the time you get over here, you've got a full 10 on micros. But you've captured profit, 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 profit. So each drop, let's say all you did was capture $100. That's all you're looking for per trade, $100. And you were able to close out and get $100. I'm not pulling to calculate that, and I know right now where I'm at. I'm up. Let's see, price is here, and I'm up like 355, so 175 for that whole move from here to my order. So yeah, that's probably about 100 in here. It's about 75 or 100, somewhere in there on that drop, depending on where you got in. So let's just say you saw this turn and then you shorted. Well, it got to that level. You pulled close partial right before it hit there. So again, it doesn't matter if you got 75 a drop, 100 a drop, but you would get 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, you'd make an extra $300 or $400. You know, and for most people, you know, I like to tell people this. Most people go out and work an honest 40-hour week and an 8-hour day, and they're lucky to make, around here in Ohio, they're lucky to make about $150 to $200 a day. Typically, it's around that $130, $150. So if they make $20 an hour, work 8 hours a day in construction around here, it's $160. So, and that would be your bonus because you would still have some on. So I just moved my stop to BE, and I wanted to add some on. I'm sitting here just jawing at you guys. But what I wanted to do was on this pull, as it was pulling back, I wanted to go ahead and short. I better do it real quick, or else I'm not going to be able to get it on. So I wanted to short another one. See how my order dropped? And that's kind of why I wanted to cover this as I'm going over it. Let me see, there's something else here. Oh, I don't even know how to get those on right now, the chat stuff. Sorry, guys. If you guys are typing in chat, I don't have that up right now. I've got a hook. I got to hook up different. I'm going to go hardwire into my internet, so this will stream better, and then I'll be able to have more open. So right now, I just added one more contract on, and I can move my stop. That's what I look for when I add to a position. That's exactly what I want to do. Okay. Now I have one more on in case it drops. I don't know if it's going to do that or not. It may tank here. It may pull back and stop me out, but I'm okay. I'm adding on more contracts in case it goes. If it does, it's in my favor, then I'm going to make bank on this trade. If it doesn't and pulls to stop me out, well, so be it. And that's how I kind of look at some of these. Some of these for me are extra trades. If you've already made what you need to make for the day or a week, that platinum trade for me was a good run, and that makes a couple days worth of trades. Well, then you don't rarely necessarily need to trade for a day, but if you can get in and have something like this run, then you're good. So right now I have my stop above this level. Okay, so if it pulls back, hopefully that level will pull it down. Now we're running out of time. I mean, we're looking at time. It's almost, what do we got, 9 minutes? It'll be 4 o'clock. And I have to close by 5. So the chances of it running are slim, but if it pops, I'm in. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead just to show you how it slides. We'll get, if I add one more on right now, then I'm just pretty much saying, if you come back and stop me out, I really, really don't care. Because if I add one more now, it will drop probably down under this line right here. And then I'm going to have to move my stop down to protect myself from any loss, especially at the end of the day. Last hour day, I don't want loss. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. Yep, I knew it would be under the line. And then we'll go ahead and slide the stop. And that's it. I'm not stacking any more on. If I stacked any more on there, it would drop me down to where price currently is. Okay. And then I know I'm going to get stopped out. All right. So right now I'm in a zero risk trade with 4 full contracts on platinum. Okay. I don't know. We'll go for a couple minutes here. We'll go till 4. So we got about 8 minutes. And we'll go till 4 and see if we can, let me check something here real quick. We'll see if it pops. I'm going to go over there to the chat and see if I can. See if we can, and it's not opening up. Come on now. All right, just give me a minute. See if it pops. All right, it looks like I am in the chat if you guys are in there with anything. I just checking it. So anyways, you know, we got about 7 minutes here. We'll watch it play out, but it may not be exciting as it's the end of the day. So basically, though, I'm in a zero risk trade with 4 full contracts. I know it's end of day. That's what's horrible. I'd rather been able to do that this morning, and it just did not give us the run for that. So that was back over here. I was looking forward to that. When we had this nice push down off the 4-hour zone, I was totally looking forward to that. I saw that nice run and I'm like, man, I'm going to stack on. I almost stacked on as it dropped, but I thought, no, I'm going to wait for it to pull back. It pulled all the way back to my entry. So if I would have stacked on, my orders would have been down here, but I would still have left my stop above at least this high. But now it could have pulled back and pulled me out on that. So I was glad I didn't, but I would have loved for it to just break and ran this morning, and it just did not do that. So, and it may do it now. So if it does, this will be a good end of day trade. It'll be a good way to make up, you know, the end of day, or come out on top on the end of the day. I didn't want to do that. There should be a way to, there we go. So right now we're up 325, 4 lots, and yes, I could lose it all as it pulls back. So if it pulls back and stops me out, I make nothing. Maybe like $1 or $2, I don't know, which is really meaningless on this. But right now we'll kind of see what happens. Is the mouse tracking for you guys? There it goes. I'm hoping the sound is too, because I have it over there, but I have to actually click. I have to remember to click on the chart for the mouse to work. So when I went out and clicked on YouTube to look at the chat thing, if I don't come back and click on the mouse, it doesn't show, and I don't know why it does that. All right, so we're getting a little pullback, and guys, I'm at the point. Well, I'm at the point in trading. I've been doing this long enough. I really don't care. That's how you have to learn to treat your trades. I do not. Now, if I was a trader and I'm looking for $100, $200, or $300 a day, I would close this out. Okay. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for just $200 a day, and if you get a runner and the runner comes up and you have to, again, this is part of your plan. Everybody's plan's different. And if you guys need me to help you individually with your plan, I can. I've done it for a lot of people. But everybody's plan's different. So my plan's not the same as someone else's. And I'm not talking about our entry setups. Everybody in here is using zones and support and resistance lines. So those are the same. It's after. It's when you go to take a trade. Everybody's trading with different contract size. You should be using about the same stop losses. You should be using highs and lows for your stop loss. So our stop losses should be in the same, around the same area. Our entries, we're going to enter around the same areas. The contract size is going to be different. And then it gets into our risk tolerance. How much risk can you tolerate? I can tolerate a lot of risk. But that's only because I've been doing it a while. And I will tell you this, I hit blocks in my risk exposure. The first one was $1,000. I got to where I was placing trades, and it was easy for me to go 500 and risk a trade. That was easy. $1,000 became a mental block for me in trading. That just, I hit 1,000. I did not want to go over 1,000. But if you're growing your account and you're keeping funds in your account and your account grows, then you can trade with more contracts. So let's say in a $50,000 account, you're going to trade with 5 contracts. Well, then as your account grows to, let's say you do 1 contract per 10,000. So 50, I'm just doing this to keep the math easy. I know that's a little more risk than what we would want to do. But let's just, for math, a $50,000 account, you place 1 contract for every 10,000 that's in your account. So if you have a $50,000 account, you should trade. You're trading with 5 contracts on a 100% setup or A+ setup, not your risky ones. Okay, so as your account grows and you leave money in, it grows to 60,000. Well, guess what? There's another 10,000 in there. You can go with 6 contracts, 70,000, 80,000, 100,000. You can go, if you're still trading with 1 contract per 10,000, well, now you can do 10 contracts. What happens is you realize mentally that you're risking more money and you kind of freeze. And that will happen to everybody. I don't care who you are. And that happened to me. It was $1,000. I got to that point and pushed myself. 500 was easy. I don't know why. It was like 100, 200, 300, 400, 5. That was easy. Once it got over 5, it was a little harder to adjust to say, yep, I'm risking $700 on this trade. But still, I'm doing the same setups. So it doesn't make sense. And it took someone telling me, it's like, they were like, well, Butch, aren't you still taking the same setups you always do? Aren't you still trading the same way? Well, yeah. So the risk is only the same risk you've been trading with this whole time. So if your trades have been working out, it's just a mental block. So then I started trading over 1,000. But that was as my account grew. If you don't add money to your account, Like if you got up to 60,000 and you pull out the 10, well then you're still at the five contracts. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind. But everybody's plan as far as their risk is a little different. Just like adding in here, I totally know that this may be a loser. Well, not a loser. It's going to be a break even if it pulls back. So it's not going to be a loser, but I full well know this could be total break even. So I didn't have to add either of those contracts. I had 2 on. It was back up here somewhere. I think I was up 2 something, 3 something. I don't know, guys. So I could have just moved my stop to where it is now and locked in profit on that. And that's what I'm getting at is it's going to be a little different for everybody, because I know a lot of traders out there, well, you're looking for that, 200, 300, 400 per day. 200 a day is 4,000 a month. So to me, that should be what a lot of people I would think can live on. Okay, so that you have to look out at your monthly goal and what you need. So you look out your monthly goal. How much do you need? 2,000, 3, 4. What do you need per month? Divide that by 4 weeks. That's what you need per week, and then divide that by 5 days. That's how much you got to make per day, depending on if you can trade. So if I need to make 1,000 per week and there's 5 days, I need $200 a day. Now, if I'm only going to trade 3 of the 5 days, well, I need to push myself to maybe enter a couple more trades, or my runners may play out if they end up running. So the runners are good to catch that extra. So for me, this was an extra trade, and I could really care less if it pulls back and stops out. And that's kind of how you have to treat that. It's rough, it's hard, it's a mental block even to say that. You will get mentally abused in this game, if you want to call it a game. But if you do it for a living, this is kind of how you have to treat it. It's a business, and it's a business for me. Okay, so that is another mental block. Is you'll get the money. I don't know what I would think. I was up over 300. I could have closed it and captured it, but with the profit I already profited earlier today, last night, don't really need it. It's an extra trade. I'm just waiting to see if it pops for me, but it has to do it before 5, because again, with this broker, I have to close it. So nothing exciting. This is kind of why I hate sometimes going live. I never really go live right when I'm looking. You guys know that, because it's just boring. If I'm waiting on a setup and we go live, we could sit for half an hour. It could be 5 minutes. We could be sitting for 5 minutes and see a good entry and take it. However, it could take 15 minutes or an hour or 2 hours before we get a good setup. Normally it don't take that long, but sometimes it takes that half an hour to an hour before we see a good setup, a good A+ or 100% setup. And I know nobody really wants to sit around and listen to me gab all morning, because you guys are trying to trade. So nothing exciting. And that's the thing. Yeah, I could close it all out if I want, but I'm not going to. I'm going to wait till it gets closer to 5. So it's 4:04. If it gets to that, if it gets to be about 10 till, that's the latest I close, is 10 till 5 o'clock. I normally try and close early. I tell everybody to close their own trades. Don't let the broker software close your trades out. It makes you look better in their eyes. You want to be a professional trader. You should be a professional trader. Call yourself a professional trader. And you should be a professional trader and treat it like a business. And I'm closing my own trades at the end of the day. Look at it as you're shutting down your business for the day. You're going to go lock the doors. You're leaving the office. You shut your computer down, right? So I wouldn't shut my computer down and leave trades on. I would take and close the trade, shut my computer down, head out the door, lock it up. So you need to treat this as part of your business. The whole thing should be treated like a business. Very professional, very thought out. All right, so that's it. I'm going to shut the live down unless somebody's got any questions in there. Oh, yeah. So I've been trading since 2004. I'm glad you like the content. It's just, I used to teach people back then. Well, not when I started. Don't get me wrong. It was like 2006. It was a couple years later. But I've been trading since 2004. But I actually paid a hedge fund manager. I was very, very lucky to find somebody that actually knew what they were doing. And I lived in Naples, Florida. He lived in Boca Raton. And so I went over and traded from his office. He had 10 traders at the time. I don't know what he's got now. But he had 10 traders trading his money. He funded them all with $10,000. So he taught these people how to trade. And then as they started trading and making money on demo, well, then he funded them each with like $5,000. Let's see what you can do with 5. And then as they grew the account, then he would bump it up. So if they got up to like 7,000, I think's where he said, then he would go ahead and throw 3 more in, and they would be up to 10,000. And they did a profit split. So it's basically what the prop firms do now. He was doing back in 2004, and he had 10 people. So it was a drive over to his place, and then yeah, we'll look at. I'll pull gold up. So it was a drive over to his place, and then just training, and it cost me 20 grand. I only had to put 5 up. That was the kicker. So it was like I would not have thrown 20,000 at the guy right off the bat. So I had to do some verification there, make sure he knew what he was talking about. He let me stay in there for an 8-hour day just to talk to his senior analyst and just kind of go through with him some of his trades. And the guy was trading live. I mean, he had live trades on. So I was looking at the live trades. He was telling me when he got in and stuff. And he had a sheet kind of like I made out, the trade sheet, the entry sheet. He had a checklist, and these guys had to check off the boxes before they got into trades. But he customized it because each trader's a little different. So there's little nuances that one trader will do that another won't. So gold, I actually did get in on this pullback here. So when it pulled back up here, and then it kind of turned and broke, I'm going to say retracement line. I don't have it on my chart yet. When you've been trading this long, you don't always need to draw a line. If you see a ton of lines on my chart, it's normally because I'm showing somebody something. So you see the big, here's what I'm talking about. You see this big move up, okay? And basically, red candle, it turned off the top of this channel. Channels are nothing but trend lines. It's just an upper and a lower one. So I drew this down trend line from here to here, that point. And earlier it was like in here. It was in the middle somewhere. One of these candles, I don't know which. But to me, okay, it turned, it pulled up. And this is where channel lines, again, they're nothing more than trend lines. Treat them like trend lines. It just gives you a secondary line, okay? So it's up here as one point. That's the second point. And then it gives you a second line. And then the second line, once you plot the 2 points, then you drag your cursor over and it gives you a second line. I just dragged the second line to this low here, and of course that one was near it. Kind of went through a little bit, but it was pulling back. So what I do is look for it to come up to our trend line, just like we always do, and it pulled up and red candle, okay? You're looking for a red candle. If you're going to go short, you should see a red candle. I don't want to go short when the bulls are in play and it's a bullish pullback like here, but I will go short when the bears take back over. That's exactly how you should look at it. Bullish swing, and then the bears take back over and then push it back down. Kind of treat it like that. So I think you guys can probably see if I draw a line up here And that's what I'm getting at. Sometimes you don't need to draw the line, especially when you've been doing it for a while. But there's your retracement line. Those I don't like to extend. Visually, I would rather see it like that on the pullback. I just don't like to extend them all the way up the chart. Makes it look super sloppy. So basically, you would get in when that red candle broke that pullback. I did not get in there. I was doing some other stuff, messing with the recording stuff and everything. So I got in as it pulled down here. And you can see my order. So it hasn't done a whole lot. I did put on 10 contracts, and then I had a limit order, I had a limit order down here to close out partial, to close out 8. And the reason why I picked this area in here was because of this right here, that line, which basically is the inside top of that bottom. But yeah, that guy did teach me trend line. Everything I talked to you guys about, with the exception of closing partial, this guy trained me on. He taught trend lines. He taught looking for support and resistance off the highs and lows. And he went into a bunch of other stuff too. I mean, I learned about pivot points, Fibonacci. I love Fibonacci. You won't always see them on my chart because it kind of junks things up if I leave them on there. But I don't use them as much anymore. Don't really need to, because I see the pullback. As stuff pulls back, I can see it pull back to fib level. Basically, you see it move like this down, and then we get a pullback. If you're trading fibs, you're looking for it to pull back to a 50 or 61.8 level are typically what you want to see. And if just with the naked eye, I could see from this point here to this point here, then that is probably about a 50% retracement. You know, red candle to enter on. And then it just went sideways for a while. But that's how you'll trade a Fibonacci. And it's kind of what I did here too, except we wait for the retracement line to be broke. So pull from here down to here. And if you drew your fibs, again, you're waiting on it to pull 50% back or 618. And it pulled back about 61.8%. If I had to guess, that's right around 61.8%. And then you're looking for a bounce there. Now, along with that, the extra confirmation on our checklist, you guys have seen my checklist, it has retracement line to be broke. That's another 10% reason for me to take the trade. Well, there's our retracement line that was broke. So when I took this entry, it's a solid trade for me. The trend was down. The trend channel here is down. It bounced off a 4-hour zone. So these zones on here are off 4-hour time frame. So it bounced off a 4-hour time frame, came back, made a low, lower than this one, made a lower high on this pullback, okay, and then pushed back down. So we have a high, lower high. We have a low, lower low. And then I didn't get in there, so we even have another low. So when it's pulling back, I'd rather get in on a pullback than an extension because I'm getting in at a better price. Okay? So it pulls back. So 50% for trading with the trend. Okay, it's making lower lows, lower highs. It pulled back up here to test this low and the trend line. That's another 10%. It broke the retracement line. It's another 10%. I think we're up to 70. Gave me a red bearish candle. I always look for that's 80% reason to take trade. The only other I can get more points is if I wait for it to pull back. And I just didn't. I just traded it. Target. My first target has to be the previous low in case it doesn't go past it. Now, we always, if something comes down and makes a low and comes up and makes a lower high, well, then we want it to make a lower low, okay? So our first target, though, should be that previous low in case it doesn't break. But that's typically what you'll see. Lower Lower high, then you get a lower low. Lower high, I want that lower low. I would love to see it come down here. However, as late as it is in the day, we may not get that. Arya, you're in the same trade. That's awesome. But yeah, that everything I talked to you guys about, with the exception of closing partial, is what the guy taught me. And we had to talk about that later on, because I was trading a 15-minute time frame, and you get in, and I would be up like $200, $300, $400. I was doing Forex only. I'd be up $200 on a trade. That's awesome. But I want to let it ride, and I might not even move my stop, and it comes back and it would stop me out in the negative. So I don't know how many trades I had taken where I kind of got fed up. I was just taking a trade, good solid entry. However, the market it didn't play out. It didn't move. So basically, you get in, you sit in all day, and then it's a loser. Oh yeah, that just got on my nerves. So I had to come up with a way to do that, and I thought, well, I'm trading with multiple lots. They call them lots in Forex. I was like, I'm trading with multiple lots. I could close out half my position, and that's where I started, was to close out half. And you can do that with orders. So just like if you I put on 10 micros on this one, small trade, and basically you would close out 8. You can use limit orders. So basically it comes down here and it closes out 8 for you. So right when you put on the trade, you put on the trade, you put on your stop, you could put on a target to close part of your trade out, and then you're done. You have a bonus on. The only thing, and you can set an alarm as well. So the thing is, you want to place the odds in your favor. If I'm going to walk away from the computer, I got to go do lunch. Here's what you do with that. You place the trade, you put your stop where you put your stop, and let's say you put in a limit order down here to close out 8. Along with that limit order, put an alarm there. Okay? Just put an alarm there. And then the reason why is so when it comes down and closes out your 8, then if you want to move your stop, if you're one that moves it tight, you would move your stop on your remaining. You don't have to move it to break even, but you can move it down some. And if it hit here, the only place I would look to move it would be above this high right here. So it's pushing again. We may get a break here. Let's go back and check our platinum. Nothing exciting. And then ES is pushed back down to our 4-hour zone. So it had a nice push there. And again, it went from zone to zone. And that's what you love to see. Oh, so yeah, that was part of my, we still, actually this day, we still talk. But the guy that mentored me, again, it was $20,000. He was like, I'll teach you. He wasn't going to get anything out of me trading. So the people that traded for him, they signed some kind of contract that he taught them how to trade. They had to trade for him for X amount of years. And then he got X amount of the profit back. He made it worth their while. I don't know what the split was. He didn't go over that with me. Because he didn't need to, because I was not looking. I would have had to relocate. We were in Naples. He was on the East Coast in Florida. So wasn't looking to relocate. So when I talked to him, I'm like, man, I want to learn how to do this, And he said, I can teach you, but I'm going to have to charge you. Because for him, for teaching me for free, he wouldn't have gotten nothing out of it. So he's going to spend time, teaching me. And his time's valuable. Anyone's time's valuable that teaches you. I don't care who they are. But if they're providing content for you to learn off of, you got to be learning something. I've seen so many people out there that it looks like they're turning into who knows what and not actually teaching anything. But getting back to him, it was, I could relocate. Are you looking to relocate over here? Nope. Nope, my mom lives in Naples. My wife and I are there, not looking to move over here at all. I like the Gulf waters anyways, versus the open ocean. And as far as fishing and everything else, and not looking to relocate. Okay, I can still teach you, but I'm going to have to come up with a dollar figure. And so, he got back to me about a week later and said it'd be 20 grand. And I was like, $20,000? And he's like, yeah, but you don't have to pay me all that up front. Let's do 5,000. We'll get you in. We'll get you a couple weeks training. We'll go through a month and see how you're holding up. And it was one of those that it wasn't like 5,000, you have a month. Better get it because I'm charging you another 5. With him, it was 5,000, and we'll see how you're doing in a month. If you still need to go back over all that stuff for another month, I'm fine with that. We're not going to charge you more. So over time, he charged me. It was a 6-month period for the training because it was back and forth. Like I went over, I'd get a week training, then I'd go home for 2 weeks, and I'd do on my own, but I could still email them charts. I could call them up. We could get on video together. He had a trade room where we could log in. He could share charts with me. So it was similar to what I'm doing here. So 2 weeks off on my own and then back for a week with this senior trader and then 2 weeks on my own. So it was more of a back and forth, but they were always there for me to, either him or a senior trader, for me to send charts to, send data to. They could look it over for me. So it was a good experience. I'm glad I found him. It was expensive. My wife kind of freaked out. I only had 40,000. I had back problems, guys. I don't know. Some of you guys know that. But I had bulging disc. I was in construction, and I was down and could not stand or sit for 5 minutes, and both my legs would go numb. Avoided surgery, did back decompressions, eventually was able, but I was going through all that when he was training me. So it was pretty rough, but I needed to make money. I needed to make $5,000 a month. So I had a need, and I did not have the time to mess with what I saw on the internet. So I had to find somebody. And like I said, I really, just somebody was looking out for me because I found him. And if I wouldn't have found him, I probably would have lost money. So, but I had 20, I did the 20 for the trading and 20 for the, 20 for the training and 20 in my trading accounts. And guys, I can tell you this, I almost put it with the wrong broker. So I had done background checks with brokers. I was going off script from him. He recommended one. I'm like, yeah, okay. And I found another one that someone else recommended to me. It was called Refco. They were in New York, office in New York, office in Canada. And I was thinking about opening with them, throwing my 20 in. Monday, didn't do it. I decided over the weekend. And Wednesday, I told my wife Tuesday night, yeah, I'll probably do it tomorrow sometime. I just kind of slacked on putting it in. And Wednesday morning I woke up. I always turn the news on when I start looking at charts to trade. Turn the news on, and guess who was in the news? It was Refco. They actually, you can look them up, REFCO, and look up when they closed down. So they were in the news all over the place, and they shut down. Well, the home office, the main office was Canada, even though we have one in New York. So as far as legalities, any money that was left went to people to pay back people in Canada first, U.S. second. But I had just not wired my money in yet. If I would have wired that 20 grand in on Monday or Tuesday or whatever, it'd have been gone. So again, just thankful I was not, that I kind of waited, hesitated. So been with Forex.com forever, ever since. And still with them to this day. I consider them to be the best Forex broker. But that being said, I have not tried other Forex brokers. I've tried a few, just demo, just seeing if I wanted to go with any. But I've never had to leave them, so we're not getting any movement, are we? Let me look, see if you guys got any questions. Oh, I'll have to look. So I'll look at my checklist because that is something that I do in more in a training, is go over exactly on that. But I'll cover that in a live sometime here over this week or next or something on the checklist part. I don't have it pulled up right now, or I'd look at it right now. And my papers, unfortunately, I buried the thing here. So yeah, the pullback and bounce is pretty much during that. Oh, the pullback and bounce after the retracement, that's pulling back to test the backside. I only had so much room to write on that little sheet, but that's what that is. So when you get the pullback, so we had pushes down, trend is down. You can see that lower low, lower high. Okay, so it's retracing back to the trend line. We just have it in channel form. So that's your retracement. It breaks the retracement line, and then you can either get in there on a break or you can wait for it to pull back. So for me, getting in on a candle break like that is acceptable, but I don't have the full 100%. This was not a 100% setup. It was like whatever I said. I think it was 70, 80. It wasn't a whole setup. If you saw the red candle, and then it pulled back, which it pulled back over here, well, then that gives you even more confirmation to take it short. So the pullback, ideally, the most ideal, perfect pullback and break would have been break, red candle, pull back up here to test the backside of the retracement line and the trend line again. So pulls back up in here and turns. That to me, for one, is it stacks on 10 more percent. The pullback here is the next 10%. So I'd have, I think I had 70 guys, right? 50 with the trend, 10 here, 60 for the retracement, break of that, another 10, because it pulled all the way back to the trend line. So that's a powerful 10% right there. We're already at 50 for with the trend, so that's 60. Broke the retracement, 70. Basically, if you entered on that red candle, you could go 80. But for me, if I would have waited and it pulled back in here, then that's 90, and then a red candle here, because I will only enter on a red candle. That's my nail in the coffin. So red candle, that'd be 100% entry back here. So I went ahead and entered here, and it was at that 80 mark. Okay, so and this is why, if it doesn't meet 100% of your criteria, don't go 100% of your contracts. Scale your contracts down. So if you use 10 normally, and you get in on a break of a retracement line like this, and it's 80, well then go down to like half. Go to 5 contracts, 6, 7, 8, whatever you deem as if it's a more riskier trade or not as safe of a trade. I don't have 100% setup. And again, everybody's different on that. I know one guy that he keeps it to, if it's 90%, I'll go 9 lots. If it's 80%, I'll go 8 lots. You could scale down 2. 100% setup, do 10. 80% or 90% setup, do 8. 80% setup, do 6. Drop 2 contracts off for every extra 10% you don't have. So we did get a pullback on that. So the biggest thing is that sometimes these will break and run. So this one broke, and I know you've seen them where they just run. And then you miss that by waiting on a pullback. So if you're the person that does not want to miss that, you say, hey, I know that it's a little riskier. I don't have 100% set up, but I don't want to miss it if it just shoots down there. Just breaks and runs. Don't want to miss it. Well, then just go on lighter with your contracts. Let's say you put on 2, 4. Let's say you put on 4. And it pulls back. And then when it pulled back here, you just triggered off a price. and you said, wow, I got a little pullback, better pricing. I'd love to see it move back here. I'm willing to take on the extra risk. I'd like to stack on 2 more contracts and put your stop above this high here. Okay, then you can scale in. Then you would have more in because you have your pullback now. That's the reason. Down here, I entered 80% trade, no pullback up here to test this. So if you put on, say, 4, well, then you get your pullback. So pullback, I'm stacking on 10 more percent. So now we're at 90. Okay, and then you would stack on a couple more contracts. And then you could close partial as it went down to the target. Like I said, put a limit order on. And it closes out part of your trade for you. Oh, I trade Forex every week. Still. The last big trade I had, guys, I don't remember. It's in the Discord. I think it hit 30,000. But I think when I closed it out, it was like 25 or 29. That was the most biggest. And then I've had like 5,000, 7,000, 3,000, 2,000. I've had smaller ones. That was the Canadian dollar. And I was in it for several days during the big drop. If you look at it, we had a huge drop. So, and it was several day trade, and I just held. So I look to, and that's in a totally different account. So that's in it's in a big account. It's in a retirement account. And yes, you can trade. You guys can get set up for those that have retirement accounts. You can link them to your regular trading account. Now I don't know, depending on the broker, but I know with them I can, and link it so it piggybacks on another account. So as I'm day trading on that, making smaller trades in my smaller account, and then that's my account where I also pull money out of to live. The retirement account gets traded as well, and then you can shuffle profits over to your IRA. It is something I think everybody should consider if you have the opportunity or the availability to do that. Let's go check platinum, see if we got our push. And we have not. It's moved a little. I'm just going to move my stop out of the way. Not much of nothing. So all it's done is kind of very little down. So it looks like we may not get our push. It's already 4:30, 4:33. I'll still leave it on. My decision that I made was to close this out at 10 till 5. Now watch it 5 minutes later shoot down. If it does, it does. It could pull back. This last half hour, it could pull back. I could still be taken out. But that's what I set up on this trade plan, was that I'm going to leave it on till 10 till. Now, if it drops down this support resistance level, I might just close it all out, because that's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on it to see if it'll drop. And if it drops before that and gets near this support resistance level, well, then I can close it on. I have to close by 5 anyways. Other than that, I'll just close it wherever. So if it pulls back, I'll lose back some of those gains. So it's a nice extra trade, and that's kind of how you got to treat them. Trade some to make your daily goal, and trade some to make a real good bank on. Hey, MC. MC's in the house. I don't know, are you in this still? I know you trade platinum only. I think you're stepping out on platinum, but I know that's your main one. So, again, go for your daily trade goal, whatever that is. It just doesn't matter. Whatever you got to make per month, 4,000, 2,000. You know, it's a couple hundred per day. So that you need trades to do that, and you need to lock in a per day goal. If you don't, why else are you sitting here all day trading? And it's not to hear me talk. much as I'd like to think so. And I'm not as purdy as some of the other people out there that you may know. And I'm not a YouTuber. What do they call them? Influencers, whatever. That's not me. I'm just a trader. So, but the big thing is that whatever you decide you need per day, get that every day. You need to. If you want to trade for a living, you need a paycheck every week, just like a job. So you need a paycheck every week so you can get paid every month. And whatever that may be, whatever you're making now on your job, or that's why I tell people to go for first. What are you making on your job? Oh, I'm making $4,000 a month. Okay, well that's $1,000 a week, and that's $200 a day. Can you trade 5 days? That's a question I have to ask. Can you take a trade every day for 5 days? Are you available? If they say no, if they say yes, well then that's $200 a day we have to get you to lock in. If they say no, I can only trade 3 days, or I'm only willing to trade 3 days, well then you need about a little over $300 a day, $333 a day, and some change of 3 days, and that gets you your $1,000 for the week. So that's why I said everybody's a little bit different, but get that locked in, and then if you get extra on the runners, then you do like I'm doing here. I'm playing around with this. It's not really playing around, but you know what I mean. I put it up for risk, threw on some extra contracts. Now we're sitting with 4, hoping it'll pop before 5, and it's probably not going to. And I'm okay with that. It's still a good trade right now. But can you imagine if it broke right now and went to that support and resistance level? Because it never did it over here. Didn't pop. So that's kind of what I'm waiting on, but I know volume's down. It's the end of the day. No volatility, no volume. Let's see here. Yeah, I go with the swing trades, the exact same approach. So with what we do, and you could do it with any strategy. I don't care what it is. The strategies, there's a lot of them that work really well, but you have to stick to the rules of that strategy. And but you can do the same thing we're doing here on a higher time frame. I used to take them on the 15, and that was my entry time. Now with Forex, it was really easier. With futures, it's a little different. I don't think you get as much trending moves as we did in Forex and do in Forex. So I'm not trying to get anyone over to Forex. It's just different a lot of days. And the news movements, you seem to get more movement off of news releases. So I still love trading news releases on that. But sorry, I blanked out, forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, about the strategy. But yeah, you can use it on any time frame. But just keep in mind, the higher the time frame, the further the stop loss. Because if I switch to a higher time frame, then my highs and lows, my swings are in different areas, and they're further away. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Unfortunately, people want to get in and trade on, say, a 1 hour, 4 hour, and they want to go, I'm gonna put $100 stop loss. Well, that doesn't work. The market doesn't care that you just want to put $100 up. So I would not sit there all day and get into multiple trades trying to put up, say, $100 stop loss, trade to 4 hour time frame, take 6 losses, and then finally my 7th is a winner. You have to put the stop loss where the market tells you to put it, and it tells you off your highs and lows. Now the closings for me, so the closings for me is I close partial, and that's so that I capture in X amount per day. Okay, so most people need X amount of money per week to live on, per month to live on. Let me pull that. So for me, it is how much money do we need? I'm trying to pull this chart over. So here's the move we were in the other day on platinum. Okay, so, and that was yesterday. So what I like to do is let runners run. If you're in a winning trade, let your winners go. Don't close them. I know a lot of people would get into a trade, boom, I put 10 contracts on, and I'm going to put a limit order on there. I have a target, I want it closed at all, I have a stop. I don't use limit orders. If I use a limit order, it is only to close out part of my trade. And that's it. That is all. So you get in, and this, we were in on this. I call it a free for fall, because that's what it did. So free for fall, get your money. So we were in short. So let's say you put on 10 contracts, and I always use that as an example. I think a lot of people are there where they're typically doing like 10 micros. That's why you'll hear me talk about that as income. So let's say you put on 10 micros and it drops, and you need $200 per day. That's what you need to lock in, because we never know it's going to do this. No one predicted it's going to go all the way through a 4-hour zone and keep going. Okay, so when we trade that off of a 4-hour zone, our target is the other 4-hour zone. And I had this line here, and if you look to the right, this line was off of a 4-hour strong support and resistance level. So a strong level. So when I got in short, that was my main target, because it may not get past that. It could have bounced here. It happened to go through. Our next target is the zone, and then it happened to go through that. So this is why you have to leave runners on. Now I closed out here, because you'll see right here where I started seeing higher highs and higher lows. These swings down here. Okay, so it came down, popped through the zone, went up and formed a high, came back to form a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. I'm out. I was out. I'm like, close my short. And then it went and formed a lower low, then back here. And then it formed a lower high and went back through, and I had to get back in. So it's just something that'll happen, because you never know. But ultimately what you have to do, and this is where you have to come up with your own game plan. You have to decide how much you want to or need to make per day. So if you get in this with 10 micros and you have to make $200 a day, you say to yourself, if I can lock $200 in a day, every day, 20 trading days a month, well, that's $4,000. That's enough to live on. Then that should be your target. But I don't close all my contracts out at that target. I want to see if I can capture bonus money. Bonus trade is what I call it. So if you put on 10 and it went down, and let's say you got up to where you were up $300. You said, I'm going to close 8. You close 8 off. You've locked in a little over $200. That's your daily bread, your goal, what you got to live on. That's money you need per day. And you move your stop to break even, which will be up here somewhere. And then you let the other 2 contracts go. And manage. Now all you got to do is manage your stop. So you're not getting in short here, then it moves sideways, breaks, and you're getting in again or trying to. It comes back, pulls back, you don't do anything, you miss that. And then it pulls sideways, and you say, well, I'm going to put a pending order under here. And you get back in, and that trade comes down and pulls back and stops you out. You're not doing any of that along this run down. I didn't do any of that. I got in up here when it formed lower lows and highs over here and broke this level right here. So once it broke this low level, that's where I was in. So about in that price range area. So again, 10 contracts, it moves down, close out, whatever it may be, to lock in what you need to survive on. And I know a lot of people have jobs, so you don't really need it to survive, but pretend like you do. Pretend like as you're trading, okay, my goal is to make $200 a day. I want to achieve that goal and make $200 a day. That's $4,000 a month. Let the bonus runner, let your runners go for bonus. And that's the reason why. The reason why you want to let them go is this right here. You're in, you have 2 contracts, you're just adjusting your stop. So as it pushed down here, you move your stop above this level, okay? And you wait. So it moves and swings down, swings back. This extension, okay? Pullback's an extension. So this extension, now we have a low forming. It pushed down. Move your stop above these highs, okay? Move down a little bit, swung back, didn't really get a good push down. It's at a 4-hour level. And then we had a push right here to the zone. Move your stop above this level. It pulled back, and that's why you keep them above that last level, because you look at this pullback, well, it didn't take you out. Push back to the zone again, extended. So it extended down into our zone. You move your stop above this one. Pulls back a little bit, and then here it extended. A new low below this low. Move your stop above here. Okay, pull back, doesn't whip you out. Extension down below the previous low. Move your stop above there. And then for me, it was these swings right here. Higher highs, higher lows. I got out right there. I just manually closed it because I thought it's at the bottom of a 4-hour zone. I'm seeing bullish signal that it's forming higher highs, higher lows. So I'm out. And then I had to get back in on this bounce here. Yeah, I know MC's been doing that, but let your runners go. There's a lot of people that do that now. I know Peter does that as well. Him and I had long discussions when he started. Yeah, we're not getting our push. But that's why I'm a firm believer in the runners. That's something it's something I come up with. I need to close partial and then let the runners go. If you got winners on, leave them run. There's no need to close out a winning trade. Adjust your stop. It'll take you out eventually, but there's no need to just flat out close it. I don't like that at all. I don't like seeing people do that. I know there's a guy locally, you guys know, at the coffee shop. Hopefully he's not in here. I'm talking about him. But anyways, it's the thing. It's leaving runners go. And I don't know how many times over the years I've heard that. I wish I would have left one on. I wish I would have left one on. It becomes a mantra before too long because you're going to keep saying that. I wish I would have left one on. And that's the runners. We got about 2 minutes. We have not had nothing. So I don't expect to get anything on this. So I'll go ahead and close them out. And then I'm done with this little lame gold trade. It didn't really go anywhere. I did make my profit target on partial though. So I got in there. Again, it went down. I had a limit order in here to go out before it hit the line. Don't put your orders right on the lines. This one did come down to tap the line. But how many times have you seen it not? You know, you'll come in here, you'll see a low, you pop a line, horizontal line across there, and then it comes down and just, I've heard that so many times. Oh, it almost hit my limit. It almost hit my profit level. And then it doesn't. So I always put them shy of a line. So yeah, we'll close gold. Nothing major on the runner. Now, and again, we have to close at 5 or I'd have left this on. So at 6 o'clock, I'm going to be looking to possibly get back in gold. Because can you imagine if it keeps on this channel through the night? So it may not happen, but that's kind of how I'm thinking. I'll be back. And then this one on platinum, who knows? I'll close it here and probably over the next, like I said, watch it 5 minutes from now. I don't know why I hit that order first. All right, so I'm out. So that was a little bit extra bonus because I stacked on, and I stacked on when it was up here. Those other two, it was up in here somewhere. And so I made a little extra on it, nothing major. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'll look back through the comments, see if there's any questions I missed. And again, I'll meet you guys in here in the morning, and it should be at 8 o'clock. I'm gonna start doing them a little earlier, and then I've got something coming up where I'm gonna be out for like 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm probably gonna do them in the morning, and it's gonna be early, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, a.m. Eastern, which I know for the guys overseas, it'll be during your time frame, or time session. So, but I'll be back in the morning so that we can look over the charts and go over and set up for tomorrow's day trading, doing our daily analysis. All right. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I tried to answer as many questions as I saw in there. I'm by myself, so I don't always look at the chat while I'm doing this, but I will talk to you later. Be safe.